It's a restart for many, it's a fresh start for some. India embark upon a new World Test Championship campaign, hoping to have put back the disappointment of the previous World Test Championship final, which ended just a month ago, where they suffered defeat to Australia. They begin this new cycle with a tour of West Indies, two tests against West Indies, who have a bit of a fresh start of their own to look forward to. You may think it's a team down in the dumps, given that they didn't qualify for the World Cup, but they've been better in tests than many of us would care to know. Welcome to ESPN Cricket for Match Day for our coverage of the India Tour of West Indies, with the first test getting underway in Dominica. And it's welcome to Deep Dasgupta, who joins us for our coverage of this test series. Deep, thank you so much for your time. We know the toss is done. India have lost the toss. West Indies will be batting first. Two debutants for India. Yashasvi Jaiswal, as was expected, has made the cut. He will open, is what we found out last night once Rohit Sharma came out and spoke to the press. And along with that, Kishan as well. So two debuts as India, a team in transition, begin a new chapter in their test life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say too many surprises, because obviously there were a few choices that needed to be made. And, it was on expected lines to a great extent. But the interesting part is the fact that Shubman Gill, I believe that's what Rohit said, that Shubman Gill wants to bat at number 3. I think that's the spot that he's comfortable with. And obviously we were talking about, even during the preview, we were talking about who's going to be this new number 3, which is that slot that has opened up after Cheteshwar Pujara. So obviously it seems that that's the spot that Shubman Gill wants to bat at, and then Yashasvi to open. So it's interesting, because last time that India had a left-hander top order batter, it's been a while, I think Shikhar Dhawan. So it'll be quite interesting, and also the way that Yashasvi usually bats. So it's going to be quite an interesting opening pair that way.
Yeah, and those are two top talking points which we perhaps will get to delve into deeper as the game progresses, and especially when India bat. But worth spending some time on it, especially on what has been the development with Shubman Gill. Now, Rohit Sharma stated quite clearly that Gill himself had stated his interest to bat at 3 or at number 4. Even in his initial time, he's been around a couple of years now on the international scene. Experts have always felt that this could potentially be the next big middle order batter. That once your Virat Kohli moves out, this is potentially India's next number 4. It's a fresh sample. He's played. It feels like he's been around a while, but it's still only 16 tests, and 16 challenging tests. Started in Australia, played in England, played home series, which weren't conditions that felt like home for many batters. How do you assess Shubman Gill? What are his challenges when he takes on to this role as India's next number 3?
Listen, the idea is obviously, like you said, a lot of people do, have a lot of expectations of him, because we do think he's the next big batter coming out of India. So obviously, Shubman Gill has got huge potential that we've already seen in the short career, as you mentioned, across 3 formats. But again, I mean, number 3, ideally, I would say 4-5 would be the ideal position for him. But as you rightly said, and we've discussed this before as well, I think someone like Virat and Ajinkya they've still got a fair bit to go. A few more years definitely left in their cricketing careers. So I think that's the spot which I think both Shubman Gill have identified, and the Indian team that he can bat at. Sorry, Yash, I can't hear you.
Apologies. Yeah. We have already discussed a bit on Yashasvi Jaiswal, but we did that thinking that he might be number 3. When he does come out now, does it add to the nerves of a debutant knowing that you go out as opener?
Yeah. I think that makes life a little bit easy, because Yashasvi is an opener, so you're playing in your position. Obviously, he's going to be nervous, like any other batter, any other debutant. He's going to be extremely nervous. But the fact that you're playing in the position that you want to bat, that is one. And secondly, you don't have an option, right? I mean, you straight away go into bat. I mean, at number 3 or any other position for a debutant, it makes it that much more difficult, because you pad it up and you're sitting there with your pads on, and you're actually waiting for a wicket to fall or a batter to get out. So that just adds to the nervousness. But the fact that Yashasvi is going to open, that is preferred spot, and he's going to be straight out batting, So I think it's going to take away that edge a little bit.
From the India perspective, of course, India get to bowl first. Deep. We touched upon how this is easily the most inexperienced pace attack we have seen in a long time. I think the last time India played any Test series without a single bowler, a single pacer who didn't have 100 Test wickets to his name was back in 2013 against West Indies. And here you are, where the entire pace contingent together doesn't have 100 Test wickets. From what we can see, we will get you the playing 11 shortly. But what we do know is that Mukesh Kumar hasn't got a game. So between Siraj and Saini, Unadkat, the Indian pacers, how do you see them faring in West Indian conditions, which in the last 4 or 5 years have actually been quite fruitful for pace?
Hmm. Yeah, and I believe obviously the sun, it seems to have come out now, but there are always there was this forecast of rain as well, and I believe the pitch has a little bit of extra moisture as well, and that's what I gather. So that should help. And again, listen, there is a lot of experience, even though they might not have international experience as such, but there's a lot of experience of playing high pressure games, high level games. For example, someone like Jaidev Unadkat, I mean, he's captained his side to Ranji Trophy finals and won Ranji Trophy finals. He's been around for a long, long time. So even though there might, I mean, as far as experience, international experience is concerned, that might not be there as much. But apart from that, I think there is enough experience in that bowling attack as well. And it's really good to see both Ashwin and Jadeja playing, as we've discussed in the during the preview as well. We would expect both the spinners to play, and I'm glad that both of them are there. And Shardul Thakur, again, a lot of experience. Unadkar, a lot of experience. Siraj, yes, a lot of experience. So if you think about experience per se, not just international experience, I think there is enough and more there.
Yeah, now just going through this lineup now that you see it on your screens, Shardul Thakur, Jaidev Unadkat preferred over Navdeep Saini and Mukesh Kumar, who was also in the squad. Uh, what does that reflect you? What does that tell you about what the management is thinking? Would you have wanted to see what appears to be a more excitable option in terms of pacers when you consider Saini or a Mukesh
Yeah.
vis-a-vis
Yeah.
Unadkat or Shardul?
So I was expecting someone like Mukesh or Navdeep, at least one of them, to play. I think a couple of things are very evident. One is obviously Shardul is bowling well, as we were talking about previously as well. So I think Shardul is bowling well, and also the fact that Shardul is kind of been looked at as more often than not a regular, at least outside India. So I think there's a little more, responsibility on him, and he's shown that. I mean, he's carried that responsibility so very well. Every time he's been called upon, and obviously difficult situations and conditions, he's never, I don't think he's played a test match at home. So obviously, I mean, all his test matches were away, and so he's done extremely well. I think this is more of giving him more responsibility, showing more faith in him. That's one. And I think Jaidev, again, I guess variation, the fact that left arm seamer, we don't have at this point in time too many left arm seamers, especially with the red ball. So I think Jaidev would be more of giving a variety to that bowling attack.
Right. One final Indian personnel call to discuss before we move to West Indies, which is India's second debutant. It's not just Yashasvi Jaiswal. Ishan Kishan will also make a Test debut, having been part of the squad for the World Test Championship final. He gets the nod ahead of Shrikar Bharatdeep.
Yeah.
How do you view that decision? I know you mentioned in the preview that you
Yeah.
are looking forward to seeing Kishan given time. What to you is where he edges Bharat out of this 11?
I think. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, Deep, go ahead.
Sorry. I think for me, Ishan Kishan, the only edge is the fact that we haven't seen Ishan Kishan. So he's an unknown commodity. As far as Kona Bharat is concerned, we know what we have I'd say we have an idea of what Kona Bharat has to offer, both behind the stumps and in front of the stumps. And I think the only thing, like I said, is the fact that Ishan Kishan, we know what he's got in terms of the other formats, T20 and ODIs. But maybe it's time to have a look at him in this format as well and figure out what he's got to offer.
And in that sense, do you reckon the difference in batting style, if not ability, is something that really helps Kishan? Because increasingly you feel that if you are a keeper who bats number 6 or 7, you ideally, given the way Test cricket is played these days, not just in the baseball era, but even a few years before that, you want runs. You want runs, and you want them a little fast. And so far, what we've seen of Bharat, he hasn't looked like the kind of batter who will necessarily score a quick 30-40 while batting with the tail.
Yeah, I mean, if I mean, listen, the modern day generation, you will see a lot of that. Any new player coming through, you will see that style of batting more often than not. With Kona, obviously, like we've mentioned before, he's played what, 5 test matches, so it's not a huge sample size, but we know what you will get from him. Ishan, again, in this format, we don't have an idea. The style of batting, yes. Another left-hander there, yes. So I think there are quite a few things that goes in Ishan's favor. So I think that's the reason we he might have that edge over the others as of now. Surely because he's it seems to be the better batter at this point in time across all the options that you have.
Right. So that is what India are lining up with. If you look at West Indies, they have a debutant of their own, Alik Athanes, who is a 24-year-old batting all-rounder, comes with a good, steady reputation, 30 first-class matches, averaging in the high 30s. He is likely to take a middle-order position, and then you've got Brathwaite, the captain, Tejner and Chanderpaul, who will hope if he can continue anything. If he takes on India look the way his father did, he would be quite happy because his father surely enjoyed batting against India. And in the bowling is where it looks a little interesting to me, Deep, because we thought they might go four-prong with their pace, just unleash the pace attack on India, but no Shannon Gabriel, and instead you see Jomel Warrican, who brings you a slow left arm option, and Rakeem Cornwall. So they too, West Indies too, going in with that two spinners, three seamers combination. So that probably tells us a bit more about the conditions that the teams are expecting.
True, and I too was expecting one of those spinners to play between Rakim Cornwall and Jomel Varikan, but the fact that Cornwall obviously is also a pretty decent and pretty handy batter as well, that helps their batting lineup. But yeah, I mean, like you rightly said, even they've gone on the fact that they also have Jason Holder. I mean, an all-rounder, proper all-rounder that helps their cause, and that just balances their side that much better. So that seems like a really good side. I mean, two spinners, three quick bowlers. Yeah, and the conditions, as you rightly mentioned, I mean, that just tells you a lot. And I was looking at the records at this venue. Last few years, 2010 onwards, not too many international games have been played. I was just looking at some first class games that was played last season at this venue. It seems like the spinners have done well. The last test match at this venue, it was Roston Chase who was the player of the match. I think he picked up 5 or 6 wickets in both innings put together. So that just tells you, usually and traditionally, this pitch has assisted the spinners.
Yeah, it did. It was a game that Pakistan won. Has been more than 6 years. May 2017 is the last time
Yeah,
Windsor Park in Dominica hosted a Test match. But as Deep points out, that does tend to be what the conditions offer. You mentioned Jason Holder, which is the one common link. Jason Holder in this playing 11 is the only member who has just come back from that highly disappointing trip to Zimbabwe, which meant that West Indies will not be at a men's World Cup for the first time in the history of the competition. Uh, but it's important to point out, right? And Holder in itself is like a microcosm of the overall topic. That while recent memory might tell a lot of viewers that, oh, Jason Holder, the guy who went for 3 sixes to Tim David in the IPL in the last over, guy who conceded 30 in a super over. But you look at Test matches, and you look at Test matches in West Indies in particular, Jason Holder is one of those quiet,
yeah,
underappreciated players of the last 5 years. A Test batting average nearly 30, bowling average below 30, and offers a lot, and which is also true for West Indies at home. They have
yeah.
been much more competitive in Test cricket at home uh, compared to how they've been in other formats.
And you rightly pointed out. I think Jason Holder is extremely, extremely, underrated in terms of an all round, especially this format. You did mention about the IPL and T20. Listen, I still don't think he's right up there with the other all rounders in that particular format. But in ODIs and especially in Test match cricket, I think he's been fabulous. I think he's a leader. Obviously, he has led West Indies previously. He was a captain for quite a while, so he's a natural leader. Is what one is what I think. Plus, I think in this format, it just his skill sets are so good, both with the bat and ball, especially with the ball. Last year and a half, he's been absolutely brilliant with the ball. So yeah, I mean, he's not spoken of as much as he should be, in my opinion. But I think in this format, he's a quality player.
Right. And no shortage of quality across the ranks. Even though they're not playing Shannon Gabriel, India will be wary of what Akima Roach continues to do, even at 35.
Yeah.
And you also have Alzari Joseph, who brings his high pace and his excitement. So there will be tests for India's batters when they come out. But at the moment, it's going to be West Indies who take first strike. They've won the toss. They will bat. Deep, just closing thoughts. What do you think the conversation is in the Indian camp as they head out to bowl first in this first test?
I mean, for me, I think it's going to be important to for Rohit to kind of settle down, because this team, there are few new faces and stuff like that. The bowling itself, I think, as we've spoken about before as well, the fact that it doesn't have too much of experience. I think the first half an hour, 45 minutes, is also important for Rohit to kind of settle down with this new pace attack. As far as the individual paces are concerned, I think just kind of calm their nerves down and just follow the basic and be disciplined. Let's not expect too much, because it's a new look bowling attack, fast bowling attack, leaving aside Mohammad Siraj. So just keep our expectations a little down, let them get hold of their nerves the first 15-20 odd minutes. Let's couple of overs from the inexperienced couple of bowlers that we have, and then let's see how it goes from there on.
Yes, and what Deep sets up from the bowling perspective might just hold true if you look at this Indian Test side on the whole. As great as they've been for a prolonged period of time, this is now firmly a team in transition. They're probably hoping that their viewers can temper expectations and know that perhaps the heights of the last decade might be tougher to touch. But if there are changes to come, this is when it begins, and it begins with the changes they have made. Two debutants, so much new, so much to look forward to. Deep, thank you for setting it up. Look forward to your company at the end of day's play. Deep Dasgupta's thoughts and insights will be available to us through this test match and this test series. So look forward to that. Be sure to catch everything from this game, captain's thoughts, everything that's happening. Lots of pieces going up on the site. The ESPN Cricket for mobile app will have you covered with that. We look forward to your company, as indeed Deep's company. Look forward to those clips at the end of each day's play. This was ESPN Cricket for Match Day.